Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're zooming in on an absolute marvel of biological engineering that you probably have sitting right there in your living room. We're going to explore the cool science behind dogs' nasal cavities. And I promise you, once you understand the actual mechanics of what is happening inside that snout, you will never look at your furry best friend the same way again. So, if you've ever taken a dog for a walk, you've definitely asked yourself this, right? Why do they stop to smell literally everything? You know the exact feeling. You're just trying to get down the block, you're in a hurry, and your dog is suddenly frozen, completely fixated on a totally ordinary blade of grass, like it holds the secrets of the universe. It can be a little frustrating. But what if I told you that to them, that blade of grass actually does hold an incredible amount of secrets? Which brings us to section 1, the canine scent superpower. 220 million. Just let that sink in for a second. That is a massive number. Because a dog's nose, it's not just some cute little feature. It is a legitimate biological superpower. They experience the world in a fundamentally different way than we do. We are supervisual creatures, but dogs gather their information through a sense of smell that researchers estimate is thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of times more sensitive than ours. That giant number, that's the key to their entire world. To put that into perspective, we humans are working with a measly 5 to 6 million scent receptors inside our noses. Meanwhile, your dog is rocking around 220 million, and honestly, some breeds boast even more than that. So, this huge gap doesn't just mean they smell things better, it means they can detect odors at microscopic concentrations that are completely physically impossible for us to even comprehend. Moving on to section 2, anatomy of a sniff. All right, let's pop the hood on this and zoom in on the microscopic mechanics of how this biological superpower actually functions. Inside a dog's nasal cavity, there is this wild, intricate network of super thin, scroll-like bones. They're called turbinates or nasal conchae. These delicate little structures are coated in specialized tissue. And here is the crazy part. If you could somehow unfold these scroll-like bones and lay them completely flat, the scent-detecting surface area would be massive, like disproportionately huge compared to the actual size of the dog's head. And more surface area basically just equals more physical real estate for all those hundreds of millions of scent receptors. Now think about how we breathe. When we inhale, the air basically just shoots straight down into our lungs. But for a dog, the airflow literally splits. A chunk of that air continues down to the lungs for normal breathing, sure, but the rest gets routed into a special, dedicated region of the nasal cavity meant strictly for analyzing scents. It's a brilliant bit of engineering because it means they can continuously gather scent information even while they're panting, running, or playing fetch. And exhaling is just as cool. When a dog breathes out, the air doesn't just push straight out the front like ours does. Actually, it exits through those little slits you see on the sides of their nostrils. It's basically a built-in recycling system. Pushing air out the sides creates these tiny, targeted air currents that literally stir up fresh scent particles right off the ground. So they are pulling in new info without blowing away the delicate scent trail they're trying to track. So that naturally brings up a question I know we've all wondered about. Why is a dog's nose wet? We've all gotten that cold, damp nudge against the leg, right? Well, there's actual, functional, biological science behind that damp snout. That moisture, it acts like a trap. It essentially grabs onto tiny scent particles floating in the air, pulling them in and making them way easier for the nose to analyze. When you see your dog licking their nose, they're just actively refreshing that moisture layer. It might even let them kind of taste those particles they've collected. Oh, and just as a quick side note from our source material here, a warm or dry nose alone doesn't automatically mean your dog is sick, so no need to panic if that moisture dries up every now and then. Okay, this next feature is absolutely amazing. Dogs smell in stereo. Kind of like how you and I use both our ears to figure out exactly where a sound is coming from in a room, dogs use their nostrils independently to identify the exact direction of a scent. Each nostril is sampling those incoming odors slightly differently. The dog's brain then rapidly compares those tiny microscopic differences to pinpoint exactly where a smell is strongest. It's how they can track things with such insane accuracy. So next time you see your dog sniffing rapidly, remember they aren't just smelling the roses. They're running a high-speed data download. With every quick sniff, they are answering complex questions about their environment. Who was here? How long ago did they pass by? Were they stressed out or relaxed? Were they healthy? Which way did they go? It's just a constant stream of data building this incredibly rich picture of their surroundings.
Let's jump into Section 3, the secret scent organ.
Because wait, it gets even deeper. On top of everything we just talked about, dogs have a completely separate secondary sensory system that processes very specific chemical cues. It's a secret weapon called the Jacobson's organ, or the vomeronasal organ. It's this highly specialized setup tucked right into the roof of the dog's mouth, and its entire purpose is to detect chemical signals called pheromones. This hidden piece of hardware? This is exactly why your dog spends way too much time obsessing over a random tree or fire hydrant on your walk. Through this organ, dogs are downloading a completely invisible network of social and emotional data. By detecting these pheromones, they're checking out other animals' reproductive status, reading territorial markings, picking up on the emotional states of dogs that aren't even there anymore. It's literally a silent, chemical, social communication.
Which leads us to Section 4, noses on the job.
Let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. Because of this incredible canine biology, humans have figured out how to actively partner with dogs for some truly high-stakes, real-world applications, jobs that we literally could not do on our own. Specially trained dogs use that stereo sniffing and their millions of receptors to find missing people in search and rescue missions. They detect explosives and narcotics. They help conservationists track elusive wildlife, find lost pets, identify agricultural pests to save crops, and can even detect specific medical conditions and disease-related changes in human scent. They are absolutely vital assistants to law enforcement, healthcare workers, and emergency responders all over the globe. And finally, Section 5, welcome to the sniffaring. So we've covered the high-level anatomy and these life-saving working dogs, but let's bring this right back to you and your daily walk around the neighborhood. If you take away just one thing from this explainer today, make it this. I know it is super tempting to keep a walk moving at a brisk pace for the physical exercise, but allowing your dog to take a slow sniffari is absolutely crucial. It provides massive mental enrichment. It satisfies their deepest natural instincts to investigate, and engaging their brain like that actually helps reduce boredom and stress. For a lot of dogs, a slow walk with tons of safe opportunities to sniff is just as rewarding and tiring as a long, fast run. I want to leave you with this powerful thought. They're not wasting time, they're reading a detailed story written entirely in scent. Having learned about their millions of receptors, the clever separated airflow, and that secret Jacobson's organ, I want you to ask yourself something. Next time your dog is frozen staring at a patch of grass, what invisible, fascinating story are they reading right in that moment that you and I are completely oblivious to? I really hope this explainer transforms your perspective on your dog's nose and maybe makes your next walk together just a little more interesting. Thanks for tuning in.